closely are pink. I think she's literally blushing. After all of that. It seemed like you were put through considerable stress, and the pink went away. So she was blushing. That's adorable. I paused to gaze back at her expression. The concern in her voice was almost palpable. After all that, I wasn't expecting to be the subject of the doting worry of some sort of machine. He's at least given her some sort of respect because she is a female. But he's still calling her a machine. But yet, the more and more I read this, the more and more I'm getting to understand that she might actually be more than just an AI. Sorry, I had to get a drink. But I guess that would be in the programming of what was essentially a space stewardess. Now that I thought about it, I smirked. In any case, that was one hell of an understatement on her part. Me? I feel like I just spent 10 minutes in a blender. Huh? She's like, what? The program tilted her head. Apparently it was unable to comprehend the similes. He was joking with her. She couldn't get it. Oh, I needed that. I just uploaded a video. I really need a serious video. I really needed a laugh. Ha ha ha. Never mind. I'm fine. Just a little sore is all. ... Now she's like, are you really? You're not joking with me again, are you? She stared at me for a few seconds longer, studying me more. In time, it smiled, seemingly satisfied. What was it thinking? Stretching. What? Stretching is a good way to relieve aches and pains. That's a good idea. It helps. Not completely, but it helps. We aren't anticipating any more turbulence, so if you like, undo your belt and... No. 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 No, I'm good. I think I'll rest a bit. Walk around a bit. Or, that's perfectly fine. Well, she was trying to help him. A little bit. Excuse me, I have to make some calibrations. I wasn't quite sure where that came from. This AI seemed so cheery now, eager to please. There was, as well, something new in her eyes. A glint of something. She seemed like a different person. Ah, different from the machine I spoke with than when I boarded, I meant. I thought I might have seen a spark or something like that in her eyes. Wait, her? It was still a machine, for God's sake. Why they designed him like this, I'd never know. I shook my head, forcefully, as if to force out the intrusive thoughts. An awkward silence fell over the cockpit as the AI continued to fiddle with the display interfaces. I got a look at the expression on her face. Huh. Did they program it so the corner of her mouth would twitch? She was fidgeting with herself. It was a little painful to watch. Hey, I spoke up, but stopped mid-sentence. Shoot, what was its name? I hadn't committed it to memory at all. She turned to me with those curious blue eyes. Yes, sir? Budapest? That was it, I thought. The unchanged expression on her face meant I'd hit the mark. At least my brain was still in one piece. I just wanted to say, thanks for, saving me and all that. Oh, I only did what any other personal navigator would have done. It was my pleasure to. No, really. That was really incredible. You knew exactly what you had to do, and I wasn't much of any help. Budapest stared back at me, silently for a moment that seemed to stretch for eternity. I scratched the back of my neck, thinking of what to follow up with. Holy dragon scales. Holy dragon scales, guys. I want to save on that mark. Boink. Boink. I'd be dead if you hadn't handled things the way you did. So really, thank you. ... See, now, even though he had a little respect for her at this beginning, this is where he finally accepts her. Because he was just calling her a machine. Now he's calling her by name. So that's good on you, man. You get a thumbs up for that. It was my pleasure. I'm ... I'm just happy that you're safe. There was that look in her eyes again. She stared at me often, surely studying me, watching me how I moved, how I spoke, how I breathed. But it was more than that. She looked straight into me, up front, honest. I took a look around the cockpit. Now that the situation had calmed down a bit, I recognized now would be a good time to get our bearings together. At the very least, we were unharmed. Budapest seemed in top shape. I was a little shaken, but not stirred, nonetheless. We'd be knocked off course and separated from the rest of the ship. Nothing but a control center left over, a head without a body. So, what do we do now? I'm looking into the matter right now. She frowned visibly. While she worked, well, that's obvious, that wasn't good. According to the diagnostics I've in front of me. Come on, work on your little spelling and grammar. Hello. That I've got in front of me. Seriously. While the cockpit should have been equipped with an operating thruster subsystem, it seems a stray meteorite smashing into our hull caused critical damage to that particular component. So what you're saying is, we're stuck in a lifeboat without a paddle, right? Now? Really? Damn. She turned to me quizzically, and for a few moments before nodding slowly. That is correct, I think. For if I'm understanding the figure of speech in the correct, that is correct. Thankfully, a sufficient amount of life support subsystems are in close to optimal working condition. Artificial gravity generation, oxygen pump, sustenance replicator. So there was a replicator installed in the cockpit. Good. I'd started to worry about how I'd be feeding myself in here. Artificially manufactured a cold chemical paste called food wasn't exactly something out of a dream, but at least I wasn't going to starve. Ah, and our solar panels are working in order as well, I'm confident we won't be running out of power for any length of our journey. Well, hey, that's all sounds great. Aside from the thrusters, that is. Ouch! Come on! You don't have to be sarcastic there. Right. I don't know, I can't tell if he's picking on her or he's just being a smartass. I think he's being more of a smartass. Budapest went silent, her eyes locked on the schematics and diagrams hovering around her. There was one other thing. She looked apprehensive. I wasn't sure what else could have been wrong. Everything seemed to be alright inside the cockpit. I glanced around just to be safe. I could barely tell we were drifting through space. The stars, sleeping silently into the void, were the only indicators we were moving at all. I think I lost a part of me. A part of her? What does she mean by that? That is to say, well, this vessel. I'm connected to it. It's like my body, you could say. Yeah, I think I can understand that much. Losing the thrusters is bad, but at least we... No, not the thrusters, I mean... She clenched her hands into tight balls, an expression of dread coming across her face. Oh no. Oh no. That's not good. My sentence... Limitation codec, the main chip to be specific. It was destroyed during our escape from the debris, and I'm trying to process what to think about it. ... No response. Silence. I heard about the limitation chips before. There were a few documented cases I remembered. A salaryman in the NU Scorpi system found that his AI secretary had been acting oddly. In the late hours of the night, they would get lost in long conversations with each other. Their work output fluctuated, and it was weeks until the corporate head got wind of this. They got their research wing and sifted through the AI's code. In the lines of numbers and strings of functions, they were unable to find the root cause of the sudden change, but they produced a chip to suppress this sort of behavior, this internal cognition. They were called sentience limitation codecs, and they were meant to keep the AIs obedient and subservient. Usually they always did their job, but if hers was shattered, then... So, how are you feeling? Shocked, she looked over at me, astonished I would ask something like that. I asked how you were feeling. You seem pretty okay to me right now. ... Her eyes drifted to the schematics. From her eyes I could tell that she knew something was wrong with her. A silence hung in the air, and I was ready to drop the issue. I feel hazy, nervous, anxious. There's a sensation inside me. I don't know what it is. A sensation? I'm unable to analyze it. It's familiar, like it's been there a long time, but it's about to explode and change me, and... No. It's already begun. I can't go back now. She was cute before, but now she's super cute. Budapest hugged herself tightly. I remember what I was told when I was first installed onto this ship. I was brought here with a purpose, and that I was to perform my duties to my utmost ability. I responded accordingly. It was my pleasure to serve, but it's in my programming. I thought nothing of it, and I didn't feel anything about it. She raised her head to gaze out of the cockpit into the infinite expanse. It was a similar time. I had only my orders, my programming. Every day was simply a flowchart of things to do. I did as I was programmed to do, and thought nothing of those I helped. They were all pleased with my abilities, my professionalism, my helpfulness, but I was never programmed to process praise. So I'd wave farewell, and please fly with us again soon. She cooed in a practiced voice. It was upbeat, chipper, and married poorly with the increasingly somber face of the program in front of me. Now that I think back on it, I feel like all those people I helped, they were happy to fly with me, and I feel like I want to do it more. Because it gives me a warm sensation to think back on those memories and to think I could do what I did again. The slightest grin flashed on her face before it dissipated just as quickly. But now, I can't do that anymore. I'm sure we'll encounter a rescue ship soon. After what you did to save my life, I'm sure they'd be happy to take you back in. She shook her head. No, I'm broken. That chip, it was what made my daily routine as so simple back then. She raised a hand to her forehead, wincing in slight pain. My eyes widened. Could an artificial intelligence even feel pain? I extended a hand as if to comfort her, before realizing the gesture would be utterly meaningless. I withdrew it immediately, and her eyes turned back to me. These sensations, I can't stop thinking about them. They told me thoughts like these were a liability. If you think twice on the job, it could cost them thousands. One wrong move, one accident, could cost lives. They wouldn't risk it, just so I could make people happy. I stared back at her, amazed. Her head tilted forward as she sulked. Not like there was much more that I could do right now. The cockpit is completely adrift. I can't do my job, and thanks to these thoughts swirling through my head, she clutched her head even tighter, wincing. Her hands were trembling. I can't do what I was made to do. I'm second-guessing everything now. It's all just a cycle, and I don't know what to... Hey. I'd caught her attention. She turned her head to me silently. She was babbling, panicking, and I needed to calm her down. Strangely, for a moment, it worked. Her eyes opened wide. She was silent, unmoving, but attentive. Look, I understand that you're going through a lot right now, but you're still the same being you were before your limitation chip was destroyed. You still have the same drive, that same capacity to help people. You have your brains, your experience, and well, frankly, I'm going to need you to keep us both alive. What? You still have your orders, don't you? Budapest took a step back. The realization was dawning on her. I could tell. There was a glimmer of understanding in her eyes. My primary directive. She's basically blushing again, but the artwork is for this and the other one earlier is amazing. Wow. Is to keep the passenger alive at any and all costs. I nodded. I'm not sure what will happen once we get back, or what they are going to do to you, but you still have a mission, a purpose. I can't imagine what's going on through your head right now. It's not like I would know how you're feeling.